Hey Peeps, welcome to another video. Today it is my September, October, November and December lookbook. Usually I do one of those a month. For September I actually had a bit of a weird month. We had Big Bird and Baby Bother visiting for 2 weeks. I kind of took an impromptu holiday. We were supposed to be in Croatia and obviously that couldn't happen. So it was really nice to spend some time with them. I was fully intending to work and just kind of didn't, and was having a really kind of not great mental health month that month. So I only sewed one thing, which is the Swoon net bag with the laptop sleeve inside. So I've got this kind of laptop sleeve here. I've got pocket A supplement from Chris W Designs, and then on this side I have some elasticated pockets for the kind of laptop accoutrement, you know, the plugs and wires and all that kind of stuff. This was going to be the bag that I was teaching at the retreat in October, and obviously that couldn't happen. So I have saved all of the videos for the making of this, and I will be releasing those closer to the next set of retreats, which are in April and May next year, so hopefully they can take place, but who knows. I'm really pleased with this. This is the Jungle Tropics cotton drill from Sherwood Fabrics. It's a Lady McElroy print. Then all the hardware is from Emmeline Bags. I love these long john connectors and I really wanted to use them on this bag. I think they look really smart. Got some feet on the base there. This is a faux leather from eBay quite a while ago. I bought a lot of it because I was planning on making the entire set of Luna bags with this, and I have made my big Luna bag with it, and I have more than enough left to make quite a lot more bags with it, which is good because I really like the colour. And then double-sided straps. Like, I always put a shoulder strap on the commuter tote Annette. You don't have to. These straps are more than long enough for you to use it, but I really like this. And I also have a laptop sleeve which is in the same configuration of fabrics. I can take the strap off of this and add it to the laptop bag, so I like that it's multifunctional. But that is all that I made in September. I do love it though, I think it is gorgeous. So as you can see, I have a pile of clothes next to me and I have put them in order of when I made them. So this next lot were made in October. That was after I had done my giant fabric haul for my 70s pirate capsule collection. We thought we were going to be moving in October, so I kind of had done this giant collection then, or fabric haul there in September, which was going to tide me over for the next couple of months, because you know, when we move, we won't be having a sewing room immediately. It's an outbuilding that needs converting, so I was trying to plan ahead and get ahead of the curve, and you know, have all these plans made out for when we moved. And we're still here in December and we won't be moving till the new year, hopefully. So grand plans and all that, but I'm really pleased with the capsule collection and how it's coming along. It's not finished yet, and it won't be finished probably until around about March. I'm going to be working on it in January, February and March as well. I'm enjoying working with similar types of fabrics and then kind of having more outfit options in my wardrobe. So the first thing that I made was the Vogue 9345 skirt. I love the dress. I've done a sew along for the dress, but I absolutely adore the skirt portion of that dress. It has giant pockets, which I have lined in the cotton lawn version of this fabric, because this is the cotton drill, which is the same fabric that I use for the Annette bag. I love this fabric so much, I've actually bought another 2.5 meters, and I fully intend to make a pair of lander pants out of it. It's going to be really loud and really over the top and very bright, but that's me. I just love this print. I really hope that Lady McElroy bring it out on a viscose challis. That would be great, and also on their jersey crepe. That would also be really cool. I was really pleased with this. I've worn this a lot. I love this skirt shape. This is the third one that I've made of this particular skirt shape. I have blue denim, a red denim, and now this print. So I love this and I wear this a lot. Next is another piece from the capsule collection. This is the Butterick 6380. I have made, let's see, I've made 3 of these now, and I plan on making more. I made one in August, which was a wearable muslin. I had some fabric in my Make 9, which was a navy crepe with red and taupe pansies on it, which I love, and I always knew I wanted to be this dress. I kind of thought that I would want a fuller skirt, so I made the original dress as is and actually loved it. But the sleeves, the sleeves were a nightmare. The sleeves were way too tight. I ended up taking those sleeves off and adding on these sleeves, which are from the McCalls 7537. This is some beautiful crepe fabric that the very lovely Mary sent me as part of my pattern swap. It might have been last Christmas, or it could have been the Christmas before. I absolutely love this. I think it's gorgeous, and it works so well with the capsule collection colours. So I made this dress up in it, and I'm really glad that I did. I really like this one. Then we've got another 6380 here. This is with the sleeves from the Vogue 9345, which is what I'm currently wearing. I have a sew along for the 9345 that I did very much earlier in the year, I think maybe March, and I made the maxi version of it. And I did actually cut out these sleeves and make these sleeves, cuffs and all, and I kind of tacked them on, and I mean I'm wearing one now. These sleeves are giant, and with the maxi skirt it can kind of look like an evening gown, but it wasn't the kind of thing that I would wear to an evening event, but I also probably wouldn't have worn it during the day. So I ended up making that original maxi dress sleeveless, and I love it because I could wear it in the winter with lots of layers, and then I can wear it in the summer with just the dress, and that's been really versatile in my wardrobe. But I had these sleeves left over, and I had a little bit of fabric left over, and I was thinking I was going to be able to make a shirt and put these sleeves on it. Then the very lovely Rachel had vlogged going to Walton's Fabrics, because I originally got this fabric from the textile centre, but they'd run out. Rachel vlogged going to Walton's Fabrics in Yorkshire, and they had some of this in the window, and I just said to her, next time you go, could you please pick me up sort of 2 meters? And she said, yeah, sure, no worries. And went, and they only had like 1.5 meters left, so she got me that. And then she went to Boys, and they had some as well, so she got me some of that. So I ended up with enough to make another dress, which is this one here, the, again, 6380. With this one, I've added little decorative buttons along the front here. I have also added these giant sleeves, which have got cuffs and buttons on them from the Vogue 9345, and I really, really love this dress. The sleeves had been made up for ages, and the fabric had kind of just arrived, which is why this one's got made, because it's definitely not going to work with the capsule collection colours, but it was something that I had the sleeves lying around, so I really wanted to get it made up, and I'm really glad that I did because I like this a lot. Next up, I decided that as we were going to be moving, I wanted to get these velvet curtains that my sister-in-law Big Bird gave me when she initially moved into her house, which was quite a while ago now. They took them down. They were not their thing, very dark, very heavy, and she gave them to me to use as fabric. I had 2 of them, and they were giant. They were also really, really bulky, so I kind of thought, you know what, let's just get over the fear of working with velvet and making a coat. Let's dive in and try and make an awesome Scarlett O'Hara inspired coat. This hadn't been featured in the 70s capsule collection, but the colour works really well with it. This is the McCalls 6800 coat pattern. I made the short version. I kind of wished I'd made the high-low hem version. It took me a long time to trace this out because there were a lot of pieces. I initially thought I didn't have as much fabric as it turns out I did. I was thinking I need to, because velvet obviously has a nap, so I was thinking I need to be careful about how big the pattern pieces get. So I've made the shorter version, and I really, really like this. Once I've made some trousers, this is going to look awesome over trousers, especially with some of my over-the-knee boots. I've kind of joked and christened the collection that I'm working on at the moment, the 70s pirate collection, and that's going to lean very heavily sort of piratey, but I kind of love that look. I'm really pleased with this coat, really pleased with this coat. I used the tailoring book, and I'm going to be doing a more in-depth review on making this coat, and with that book and the tips and hints and tricks that it gave me. I decided against bound buttonholes in velvet because I just thought I've never made them before, and I don't want to hate them, so I don't want it to go all horribly wrong. So bound buttonholes in velvet, just not the one. I ended up putting press studs on and then some decorative buttons, and I really like how this looks. I did also have this pressed professionally at a dry cleaners, and I don't think it's made very much difference at all. I don't have a correct velvet board for pressing this, so I'm going to give it another go using some scraps of the velvet itself as a board to press it on and press it with, and just try and get the bottom edge just a little bit thinner. It is just a little bit bouncy around the edges, but it's also a really beautiful velvet coat that I'm totally going to wear, and I'm very, very proud that I made. We have some of my oh so successful Make 9 fabrics. I'm going to be doing a review of my 2020 Make 9 that's coming up soon. This is the terracotta viscose that I got from the fabric room. I love this fabric, I love this colour. This is the Vogue 9077 dress, which I am going to be doing a sew along for with some viscose from Lady McCalls called Woodland Harmony. I've made a lot of changes to this dress. I've added in a yoke, I've added in a collar stand in a different collar because I didn't like how the initial collar went together. I have also put the button placket right down to the hem of the dress instead of stopping kind of at this level, because I didn't like how that was finished on the inside, or could be finished on the inside, and I also didn't like the look of it. So I have made a lot of tweaks to this dress, which I will go into more detail when the sew along comes out. This was a trial run for the adjustments that I've made, because I've made one of these before, not last year, the year before I think, in a green, military green crepe, which I really like, but it's a polyester fabric, and I wore it on holiday and it was just so hot. It was so hot. I've decided that I just don't she says wearing a polyester dress, I don't enjoy wearing polyester in the warmer months, so I've stopped really buying it. But that dress, I needed to do a sway back adjustment, and it was ever so slightly tight over the boobs. So I went back and retraced this pattern because I needed to do all the, or to show you guys how to do all the alterations that I've made to it, but also because I needed us to just kind of tweak the sizing a little bit. And I'm much happier with how this one's come out. And I used this fabric, which was always destined to be this pattern, because I wanted to make sure that I was happy with all the tweaks I made before I cut into my Lady McCalls viscose, which was £15 a metre, and this was £3 per metre. So this was a wearable muslin that was really successful, and I like it a lot. It's not my favourite shirt dress though. I think I would have to say, other than the Vogue 8577, which is coming up, I think this dress here that I'm wearing is my favourite shirt dress. This is the Vogue 9345. As I say, I've done a sew along for this. I've made 2 of them so far. I can see them being many more in my future. I really like the details on the 9077, but I don't like the button-up collar as much as I like this open notched collar that I have on this dress. I never wear my shirt dresses buttoned right up to the top. I probably won't ever wear any of my shirts buttoned right up to the top either. So it's one of those things where this is more me. I prefer this shape. I absolutely love these sleeves. I mean, these sleeves are epic. The pattern would actually have you leave these as bell sleeves with no gathering in at the cuff, which for me would just not be practical because I'd end up with them in everything. So I actually put in a little continuous lap vent here and added on the cuffs, and I'm really glad that I did. I've worn this dress quite a few times. I love the shape of the skirt. I was a little worried the skirt wouldn't be full enough for me at this shorter length. The maxi dress is amazing, but I was worried this wouldn't be full enough for me, and it is. So I think this is definitely one, if not one of my favourite makes from this year, and I do wear this a lot. This is some fabric that the very lovely Rachel got for me from Walton's. I was absolutely mystified as to where this came from, and if you saw my Show Us Your Stash video earlier this year, you will know what I'm talking about. I was convinced it was a Lady McCalls fabric, and I could not remember buying it. But I'd seen this on one of Rachel's fabric hauls. I need to stop watching those videos because it gets very expensive. I saw this, fell in love with it, asked her if she'd buy me some more when she went. She got me 5 meters of it. She brought it down to the retreat in October last year. I handed over the cash, she handed over the fabric, and because it was such a busy event and it was the first day of the retreat, I kind of just brought it home, stuck it in the stash, and then forgot about it. I bought it out when I was planning this capsule collection and was just like, I have no idea where this came from. And then she watched that video and was like, I got it for you, you idiot. And I was like, ah, thank you, Rachel, because it's been driving me nuts trying to work out where this fabric came from, but I definitely think I prefer this kind of notch collar on my shirt dresses over the one that button up all the way to the top. I have a place for those and I will wear them, and as I say, I'm going to make the 9077 in the Woodland Harmony, but I do think I prefer this kind of neckline. Oh, and by the way, from the velvet coat onwards has been November. Didn't tell you that. The next thing I made was my Vogue 8577 in the Lady McElroy Jungle Tropics Cotton Lawn. I bought this from Sew Over It quite a while ago, just before one of the knitting and stitching shows. It's the one that got snowed in, and Mum and I traipsed over London to get to the Sew Over It party that had got cancelled and we hadn't seen, so we were the only people there, but they were very kind and let us shop and let us have a discount. And this fabric had actually been mislabeled as £12 per metre, so I got an amazing deal on this. I cut this out in October at the same time as I cut out the cotton drill skirt, because as I say, I used the offcuts from this to line the waistband of the skirt and the pockets. I have enough left to make myself a little cropped tie shirt with this as well going forward for next summer. Now this might seem like a really random dress to make in November because it's a cotton lawn summer dress, but I find that if I wear different layers underneath this dress, and this is my sixth. This is my sixth one of these. I find that if I layer it up with like roll necks and cardigans over the top, tights and a slip, then I am plenty warm enough in them. This I'll definitely wear in the summer, but I will also wear it in the winter as well, just layered up with lots of different pieces underneath and over the top. Love it. And I'm going to get a belt made by Harlequin Belts as well to match, like I have done for pretty much all of my other 8577s. Then it was December, and I wasn't really, again, we were kind of thinking we were going to be moving pretty much every weekend in December. You guys all said to me, you know what you need to do is start a giant project, because the minute you start a giant project you will get a moving date. So I started Coatmas. Now Angela Clayton coined the Coatmas phrase 2 years ago. I loved watching her make coats over the Christmas period. I kind of accidentally started Coatmas for myself this year. Not quite sure how that happened. Well, I am quite sure how that happened. It was your guys' fault. You guys said that I ought to start a big project and we'd get a moving date, so I tried that. The first one I made was my Gertie Charm Patterns princess coat out of this mystery fabric that I got from All Your Textiles on the Gold Hawk Road. I got it during one of our trips with the Peeps last year. Managed to talk them into giving me 5 meters for £11 per meter. I have enough left that I think I'm going to be able to make another little jacket out of this, especially if I go for like solid black leather sleeves or something. I've kind of christened this my rainbow underwater coat. The lining is this cotton silk blend that I got from Spoonflower, and it is a close-up photograph of an abalone shell under a microscope. I've used, I'm not sure if you can see, but I've used rainbow bias binding as the flat piping detail, which is a really lovely detail that I think looks great, and I can see myself doing it on every single coat I make. Then I think that this fabric kind of looks like seaweed, rainbow seaweed, so I have christened this my rainbow underwater coat and I love it. I've also put on some buttons that I got from my stash. I've had these in my stash for a good sort of 17 years. I bought them from John Lewis many moons ago for a costume that I was making for my dad. They are absolutely perfect and work really, really well with this. I am over the moon with how this coat came out. The instructions for the princess coat are great. I used my tailoring book, but there was only a couple of little extra pieces of interfacing that the tailoring book recommended for the collar that weren't actually already in and talked about in the Gertie pattern. So I'm really, really pleased with how this one came out. I think the sleeves are probably an inch too short. I'm not going to let that stop me from wearing this. I've worn it out once when I went to town to have my eyelashes done, and I got so hot in this. I was worried I was going to be cold, but I got so hot in this. I actually interlined it with cotton flannel, so it's actually a really, really warm coat. So I haven't worn it since because it's not been cold enough, but I love it. I absolutely love it, and I am over the moon with how it turned out, and I'm so glad that you guys talked me into starting it. Didn't get us a moving date, but it did get me a beautiful coat. So if one coat project isn't going to get you a moving date, let's try another one. And this is kind of how Coatmas was born this year. So I have got the second iteration of the Gertie Princess coat, this time with the notched collar. I took this picture as inspiration. I have had this picture on many of my Pinterest boards for a very long time. I wanted to recreate it, and I always knew I wanted to use this green cotton, brushed cotton twill that I got from fabric.com about 6 or 7 years ago. I think it was one of the first fabric.com orders I'd ever placed. I have been hoarding this for the longest time because I wanted it to be the perfect trench coat, and I tried a few different variations using the Robson trench coat and the Gertie Butterick coat pattern and smooshing those together, and that didn't work for me. So I just kind of held on to this, and then when the princess coat came out, it suddenly occurred to me that could be a really good base for the trench coat that I want to try and make. The only thing it didn't have was a storm flap. So I used the back stay piece that comes with the coat pattern to draft myself my very own storm flap. The stay piece goes all the way down to the side seams, so I kind of cut it off above the double notches and then just made it into a point in the center and sewed on a button. I've lined it, and I've also lined this coat with the Shanghai Bouquet poly satin that I got from Sherwood Fabrics. It's a Lady McElroy. I've got the rust coloured flat piping in there. I am absolutely over the moon with how this has turned out. I love it. I really love it. I did a few little tweaks to this pattern from the underwater coat. I only added one extra set of interfacing in the underwater coat to the collar, and this time I added it to both the collar and the facing. It's turned out really well on this. I think I get away with it with the other fabric because it was a lot thicker, but on this one it's worked really well. I also kind of used the bound buttonhole piece for some belt carriers. That's worked out really well, and then I just made a belt myself out of the width of the fabric that I had left. I had very little of this fabric left. I think I'd bought 7 meters to start with. I've made 2 bags and a purse out of it, and I was cutting down to scraps at the end. I was lucky to get all of this out of it. I'm over the moon with how this has come out. I ended up bugging out the lining through one of the side seams in the skirt lining and turning it through there and slip stitching that closed, and it's worked really well. Really like how this has worked. I think it works because with the underwater coat I slip stitched the facing to the outer so that it would stay in place, and with this one I didn't do that, but I did top stitch the facing into place for a added decorative detail because this coat has top stitching all over it. It was always intended to have like this as to make it look more kind of utilitarian, I think is the correct word. I am over the moon with how this came out. Really love this coat and really enjoyed making it twice. So after the 2 giant coat projects, I decided to try something a little simpler. This is the Deer and Doe loop-in. It's in a brushed cotton twill, which is exactly the same fabric as the green one. It's just in the sweet potato colorway, and it is lined with the Shanghai Bouquet poly satin because I had enough of that left to do that, which I'm really pleased about. And I think I have enough left after this one's been made to line another coat. Probably not the sleeves, but definitely the body of the coat. The sleeve I've lined, this is slippery enough that I've lined the sleeves in this one as well. I love the Deer and Doe loop-in jacket. I have made quite a lot of them. I have got this one and my pink parrot coat left in my stash. The denim one I made wasn't quite right for me. Unfortunately, it was too lighter weight denim, but I plan on remaking that at some point in the future. This works really well in with the capsule collection. I think that's one of the things that I have noticed. I'm very drawn to prints, but the trouble is if I make all of my coats in print fabrics, then I make most of my clothes in print fabrics as well, and I find it really difficult to actually put the two together and not look terrible in them. So it's nice to have some outerwear pieces like this and the trench coat that are in plain fabrics, but then have beautiful linings on the inside because they go with way more things in my wardrobe. Now, if you've watched my 70s pirate capsule collection video, you know that this fabric is the one that started it all. This is the brushed cotton twill that I have made now this skirt, which is the McCalls 7906 out of, and also the loop-in jacket. I have a lot left. I ordered 6 yards and I got the end of the bolt, so I have quite a lot of this fabric. I had bought it with the intention of using it to make the Anna coat from the Sew Over It Work to Weekend book, but because I planned on making a capsule collection around that book, but having looked at the trench coat again, it's not my favorite because it's a very simple trench coat. It's a very nice trench coat, but I prefer more detailing on it. Like I want buttons and belt carriers and all those kind of things. I ordered this fabric with that in mind, and then when it arrived it was like, oh, actually, you know what, no. But this is what inspired the entire 70s pirate capsule collection. Once I'd made the deer and doe coat, I thought, you know what, this would look really nice as a skirt, so I've made this one. When I traced it out the size 12 rather than the 14. I've only given myself half an inch of wearing ease on this instead of the inch that I usually like. When I was making this, I was absolutely convinced it wasn't going to even close around my waist. I thought I'd made it way too small. I persevered and put the buttonholes and buttons on, and I wasn't even going to try it on. I was just going to hang it in the wardrobe and wait till, because I've started exercising again. I say that every time, don't I? But I was going to just wait until I'd lost a little bit of weight before trying it on, but I thought, oh, I'll just see, and I can do it up. It is tight. It's probably not sitting quite the way that the pattern intends it to, but I really like it. It's a different silhouette for me. It's fun. It's fun. I fluffed up the belt carriers. I sewed the pieces together the wrong way around, so they're actually double width, and I've kind of fudged them together, and it's worked. It's fine. I would like to make this skirt again and put the belt carriers on the correct way, and I can see this being a versatile piece in my wardrobe. I've got some khaki military green wool from Lady McCalls in my stash. I was going to make trousers with it, but I think it's maybe slightly too stiff to make trousers out of, so I was thinking it might be quite good in this because it will hold the pleats in this skirt, but I'm not 100% sure yet. But I can see myself making this again. I really like this. After all those, I wanted some quick projects, and I wasn't intending on doing these things, but I had this gable tee in the rainbow zebra fabric cut out for the longest time. I was kind of thinking that I didn't know what I wanted to do that day, so I was just like, you know what, let's work through this little pile of things that I've got cut out. I've got this, a cap, a skirt, and a camisole cut out. I currently just have the skirt and the camisole left to do, but I'm really pleased that I made this up. I love this. I think it's gorgeous. I saw this fabric back in the summer. I bought some for myself and some for the very lovely Julian because it just made me think of him the minute I saw it, and I knew he'd look awesome in it. And I cut myself out a gable tee. I'd ordered Julian 2 meters and me a meter, so I cut this out and then I sent Julian everything that was left over. He it took me forever to get it sent out to him, but he has received it and he does really like it. But yeah, I'm so pleased that I've finally got this sewn up, having it just sit there looking very sad and forlorn at me. I think my problem was I didn't want to change my overlocker thread from black to white, and that is a ridiculous reason for not making a t-shirt. I was talking to some of the peeps during one of the hangouts, and somebody mentioned that they're making Christmas PJs, and I was like, that is a genius idea. And in the middle of the hangout, I took the computer around and went through my jersey stash because I knew exactly what fabric I wanted, and it happened to be right at the bottom of the back pile. But it's this beautiful cotton jersey that the very lovely Duvalet got for me from Lithuania. She put it up on her Instagram. I immediately fell in love and asked her to get me some. I sent her the money and she sent me the fabric. It has got little fairies and mushrooms and dragons with peacock wings on it, and so I made a Sewaholic Renfrew tee, and then these are the Simplicity 1494 pajama bottoms, which are unisex. I stupidly used the pattern that I traced for my nephews and my brother, who are all over 6 foot tall. So this has a 33 inside leg, so I've hemmed this with a 4-inch hem. It's 2 inches deep, turned on itself. And yeah, I didn't have enough fabric to cut the bottom band of the t-shirt, so I've just turned the t-shirt up by 5/8 of an inch and stitched it down. I actually don't mind that. I find the bottom band on this t-shirt can be actually quite bulky. I like the bands on the sleeves, and this is a really good finish for a t-shirt if you don't have a cover stitch machine, because it finishes the edge really nicely. I do like the band on the sleeves, but I do find that the band on the bottom can be a little bulky, especially as I like to tuck my t-shirts in. So I think I might end up leaving that off in future. I always make the v-neck of the Renfrew. I've never made any of the other iterations. Mum really loves the cowl neck one. She makes that all the time. I have my Christmas Day pajamas. Then during the last hangout that I had with the peeps, I decided to work my way through again my unfinished object pile that was just sitting there taunting me. One of them was this Vogue Baker Boy cap. It's the 9044 pattern. I have had this cut out since last December. I'm really glad that I have finally got it made up. This was the same fabric that I used for my Kelly anorak, and I have used some Decoville in the peak of the cap because I didn't have any buckram in stock. The lining of this is some two-tone lining that I had left over from Stone Fabrics, which I absolutely love. They don't have all the colorways anymore, and I'm gutted because I was going to line my trench coat with the pink and green colorway, but it's worked out well because the Shanghai bouquet looks fabulous in that coat. Yeah, the lining fits me really well, but the actual main body of the hat is actually quite large. I think it's about 2 inches larger than the lining. I traced it out correctly, so I have no idea why that's happened. So I've had to kind of gather it in, so there's little puckers all around. You can't really tell, and I could wear this one, but I know that there's somebody out there who very much likes this, who happened to point out that they have a bigger head than me. So this one's going to be going in the post to that lovely person. I will be making myself another one, and I'm going to work out the difference between the circumference of the lining and the circumference of the outer. I'm going to adjust my pattern so that they fit together much better, because I want this hat to be snug on my head, and this one is loose. So but I'm pleased that I finally made it up. There is a sew along for this one coming. I will talk you through the alterations that I make to the pattern to try and get it to fit me better. Yeah, I'm pleased that I finally got this one made up as well. Dad likes it and looks like he should be driving a train when he wears it. And then the final thing that I made in December and also this year is my Hey June Sheridan sweater. I love this thing. This is the cable, which you probably can't see, but it's a cable look fabric from Higgs & Higgs. It is so soft. It's not very wide, and the cable runs from selvage to selvage instead of up and down the length of the fabric. I didn't take that into account when I ordered it, and I only ordered 1 meter of this one and also the rust colorway. I also ordered some cuffing from Higgs & Higgs. When it arrived and I came to try and cut the Sheridan out, it wasn't even wide enough to cut out the sleeves, let alone the rest of the top. I went to try and buy some more and they didn't have any, so I was kind of flailing around trying to think what to do. And I found, and again you probably can't see, but this is a basket weave looking knit that I got from Sew Me Sunshine. This was really expensive. This was nearly £50 for the materials for this sweater. It was a very expensive mistake to have made, but I'm really glad that it has worked out as well as it has. I knew I loved the Sheridan. I made a muslin for it earlier this year. Then it was kind of the end of spring, or the end of winter, beginning of spring, so I knew if I made more of them at the time I wouldn't wear them. So I waited until now to make an actual wearable version of it, and I love it. I'm really pleased with how this has come out. So that is everything that I made in September, October, November and December. As I say, this last part of the year has been really up in the air, and this was not the way I intended to do these lookbooks. I kept thinking, oh, we'll be moving. I should have just carried on with life as normal, but you know what, it is what it is. I'm very pleased that I put the 70s pirate capsule collection together and showed you all of the fabrics that I wanted to work with in one big go, because as an overview of what I'm planning, I think it works really well. As I say, it's going to take me a good 5 months, maybe 6 months to get everything that I want to sew up from that collection sewn up, but I've made a really good start and I'm really pleased with some of the pieces that I've made here. Let me know in the comments down below which is your favourite piece. I think it has to be the princess coats, the underwater coat and the trench coat. I love both of those, closely followed by this dress. As an everyday piece, it's a really over the top silhouette. It looks really dressy, and I know some people would find this a very dressy dress, but for me this is an awesome everyday piece and I have really enjoyed wearing it. So I think those are my 3 standout pieces from this pile of stuff that I have next to me here. Yes, let me know in the comments down below which one is your favourite and why. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!